The rust bucket didn't look like much. Hell, it looked like someone had taken 3 different ships, crashed them together, and welded whatever pieces still stuck. But as I stood in the abandoned dock of Station 9's lower ring, staring at the monstrosity that was supposedly my inheritance, I couldn't help but feel a strange pull toward it. Iron Fang, I read from the faded lettering on its hull. The name was barely visible beneath layers of corrosion and what appeared to be burn marks from at least a dozen firefights. A soft chirp came from behind me. I turned to see Naira perched on a cargo container, her 4 eyes gleaming with an intelligence that always caught people off guard. Most folks saw the cat-like form and dismissed her as someone's exotic pet. They never noticed how her fur shifted from deep purple to amber when she was amused, or the way those eyes tracked everything with predatory precision. "You're actually considering it," she said, her voice carrying that unique dual-tone quality of her species. It was like listening to harmony and melody at once. "It's all I've got left," I admitted, running my hand along the ship's hull. The metal was cold, even through my gloves. "Uncle Dex said it was special, said it would change everything." Naira's fur rippled, shifting to a skeptical gray. "Your uncle also said he'd found the lost treasure of the Andromedan pirates. How did that work out?" Before I could answer, laughter echoed through the dock. A group of 5 emerged from the main corridor, their pristine white uniforms marking them as corporate elites. Novodyne logos gleamed on their shoulders like badges of superiority. "Would you look at this?" the leader said, pulling out a holo recorder. His name tag read, Garrison Holt, Junior Executive. His companions snickered as he began recording. "Found some dock rat trying to claim salvage on actual garbage. This is going straight to the feeds." "That's not salvage," I said quietly. "It's mine." Garrison's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Yours, what? Did you win it in a card game, or maybe—" He paused, pretending to think. "Oh, wait. I know you. Marcus Hale. The scholarship kid who got kicked out of the academy. What was it again? Crashed a training vessel into the Admiral's yacht." "That was sabotage," I said through gritted teeth. "Sure it was." Garrison zoomed his recorder on Naira. "And you've got yourself a reject alien pet too. Perfect match for a reject pilot and a reject ship." Naira's fur flashed red for just a moment before settling into an icy blue. She stretched languidly, but I saw her claws extend slightly. "Tell me, Hale," Garrison continued, "how much did you pay for this heap? 5 credits, 10. Or did they pay you to haul it away?" His friends were howling with laughter now, their recorders all focused on us. I knew this would be all over the hypernet within hours. Another humiliation to add to the collection. "Come on, Nira," I said, turning toward the ship's access ramp. "Let's see what we're working with." "Running away, just like at the academy," Garrison called after us. "Make sure to check for radiation leaks. Wouldn't want you growing any extra limbs, though it might be an improvement." The ramp groaned under our weight as we climbed aboard. Inside, the ship was exactly what I expected. Corridors lined with exposed wiring, panels hanging loose, and a persistent smell of ozone mixed with something distinctly fungal. "Charming," Naira muttered, her fur now a mottled brown that matched her disgust. We made our way to what should have been the bridge. The door was stuck halfway open, and I had to squeeze through sideways. Inside, ancient control panels flickered with dying lights. The captain's chair was missing entirely, replaced by what looked like a welded bar stool. "Welcome aboard, meatbags." I jumped, nearly hitting my head on a low-hanging pipe. The voice had come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Ship AI?" I asked cautiously. "AI, yes. Ship debatable. The name's Milo. And before you ask, yes. I'm ancient. Yes. I'm probably insane from isolation. And no, I don't like visitors. You've got exactly 30 seconds to explain why you're on my ship before I vent the atmosphere." "Your ship." I pulled out the holopad with Uncle Dex's will. This ship belongs to me, Marcus Hale, nephew of Dexter Hale. There was a long pause. Several lights flickered in what might have been surprise. Dex is dead. The AI's voice lost some of its edge. 3 months now. Left me this ship and... I hesitated. And a message saying it would change everything. Of course he did. Milo's laugh was bitter. That idiot always was too optimistic. Fine. Marcus Hale, the ship is yours. For what it's worth. Which is approximately negative 3,000 credits, considering the docking fees you now owe. Naira had been exploring the bridge while we talked. She stopped at a particular panel, her eyes widening. All 4 of them. Marcus, she said slowly. This panel, it's not standard. It's not even human technology. I moved over to look. She was right. The symbols were unlike anything I'd seen, flowing and organic rather than the harsh angles of human or even most alien script. Don't touch that, Milo said sharply. That's complicated. But Naira's paw was already on the panel. Her fur exploded into a brilliant silver I'd never seen before. The panel lit up, symbols racing across its surface faster than I could track. Impossible, she whispered. This is Etherian, my people's technology, but we never built ships. We were navigators, not engineers. The bridge suddenly came alive. Panels that had seemed dead moments before blazed with light. Holographic displays materialized in the air, showing star charts I didn't recognize. What did you do? Milo's voice was panicked now. I didn't do anything, Naira said, but her paw remained on the panel as if magnetized. It's reading me. It knows what I am. A new hologram appeared, larger than the others. It showed a 3-dimensional star map, but not one I recognized from any academy training. These stars were arranged differently, connected by glowing threads that pulsed with unnatural light. The negative star map, Milo said, his voice barely a whisper. Dex, you absolute madman. You actually found it. Negative star map, I asked. Routes that don't exist. Paths between stars that violate everything we know about physics. The Etherians called them the hidden roads. They lead to places that aren't supposed to be there. Worlds that exist in the spaces between spaces. Naira finally pulled her paw away, gasping. Her fur was cycling through colors so fast it was almost stroboscopic. My people, she said, her voice shaking. We didn't just navigate normal space. We could see the hidden roads. That's why we were so valuable. That's why Novodyne. She stopped, her fur suddenly going pure black. Novodyne what? I prompted gently. Novodyne didn't just want our navigation skills. They wanted to harvest our ability to see these roads. The experiments. The genocide of my people. It wasn't about territory or resources. It was about this. The weight of her words settled over the bridge like a funeral shroud. Outside, I could still hear Garrison and his cronies laughing, completely unaware of what we'd just discovered. There's more, Milo said reluctantly. Check your messages. Marcus, you should have received something from Novodyne's legal department about an hour ago. I pulled up my comm unit. Sure enough, there was an official notice marked urgent. Notice of hazardous asset seizure. I read aloud. The vessel designated Iron Fang has been classified as a navigational hazard and will be destroyed in 10 standard days unless proper disposal fees of 1 million credits are paid. They know, Naira said. Somehow, they know what this ship contains. Or they suspect, Milo corrected. Novodyne has been hunting for the negative star map for decades. They must have flagged any ship your uncle owned. I stared at the swirling holographic map, its impossible pathways promising unimaginable discoveries. 10 days. We had 10 days before Novodyne came to destroy the ship, and probably us with it. Can this ship even fly? I asked. Define fly, Milo said. Can it achieve lift? Yes. Can it break atmosphere? Probably. Can it survive a hyperspace jump? That's where things get interesting. Interesting how? Well, with standard navigation, we'd probably end up as a rapidly expanding cloud of atoms. But with the negative star map and an Etherean navigator, he paused, we might just become the fastest ship in the galaxy. Naira's fur shifted to a deep gold, which I'd learned meant determination. We need parts, lots of them, and we need them without attracting Novodyne's attention. There's a race, I said, remembering something from the station's bulletin boards. The Asteroid Belt Rally. Illegal. Dangerous. And the winner gets their pick from the scrapyard of defeated ships. You want to enter this barely functional death trap in a race? Milo sounded incredulous. No, I said, grinning for the first time since arriving at the dock. I want to win it. Naira's fur shimmered with what I recognized as amusement. You're insane. Probably. But think about it. We win the race, get the parts we need, and disappear into the hidden roads before Novodyne even knows what happened. And then, I looked at the star map again, its mysteries calling to me like a siren song. Then, we find out what's so special about these routes, that Novodyne killed your entire species to control them. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of newly awakened systems. Outside, Garrison had finally gotten bored and left, his cruel laughter fading into the station's ambient noise. All right, Milo said finally. But if we're doing this suicidal thing, we're doing it my way. First, we need to get this heap to basic functionality. The race is in 6 days, which gives us 4 days to prepare if we account for travel time. What do we need? I asked. A list materialized in the air, scrolling past faster than I could read. Power couplings, fuel injectors, navigation stabilizers, hull patches, atmospheric processors, gravity generators. Basically everything, Naira summarized. I have about 300 credits to my name, I admitted. Then we'll have to be creative, Milo said. And probably criminal. How do you feel about theft? From Novodyne Associates ecstatic? Good. Because there's a supply shipment coming to the station tonight. Corporate freight, bound for one of their research facilities. It'll be lightly guarded because nobody's stupid enough to steal from Novodyne. Nobody except us, Naira said, her fur shifting to a predatory shade of green. I looked around the broken bridge of our broken ship. Then, at my unlikely partners, a bitter AI and an alien who might be the last of her kind. Not exactly the crew I'd imagined when I'd dreamed of being a pilot at the academy. All right, I said. Let's steal from the most powerful corporation in the galaxy. What could go wrong? Everything, Milo said cheerfully. But at least it won't be boring. As we began planning our heist, I couldn't shake the feeling that Uncle Dex had known exactly what he was doing when he left me this ship. The Iron Fang might look like junk, but hidden beneath the rust and decay was something extraordinary. Something worth killing for. Something worth dying for. The next few hours passed in a blur of preparation. Milo walked us through the station's architecture, highlighting security blind spots and maintenance corridors that hadn't been updated in the central database for years. Naira's fur shifted through various shades as she memorized patrol patterns, her 4 eyes tracking multiple data streams simultaneously. The shipment arrives at Dock 43 at midnight, Milo explained, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the station. Standard protocol is 2 guards during unloading, but they'll be focused on the main cargo. What we want is in the secondary containers. What exactly are we looking for? I asked, studying the dock layout. Power cores, mainly. The Iron Fang's current core is held together by faith and electrical tape. But if we can get our hands on a military-grade quantum core, we'd have enough power to run systems that have been dormant for decades, Naira finished, her tail swishing with excitement. Including some rather interesting defensive mechanisms, Milo added cryptically. I was about to ask what he meant when my comm unit buzzed. Another message, this time from an unknown sender. Marcus Hale, I read aloud. Your presence is requested at the Nexus Lounge. Level 5. Come alone. We have matters to discuss regarding your recent inheritance. Trap! Naira said immediately, her fur bristling into sharp spikes. Obviously, I agreed. But I'm curious who's setting it. Curiosity killed the cat, Milo said. Naira's fur flushed orange with annoyance. That's a human saying, and it's speciesist. My apologies. Curiosity killed the human. Better, she said, though her fur remained orange. I made my decision. I'm going, but not alone. I turned to Naira. Can you follow without being seen? Her form shimmered, and suddenly, her fur matched the shadows perfectly, making her nearly invisible. I'm a ghost when I want to be. The Nexus Lounge was everything the lower docks weren't clean, bright, and filled with the kind of people who'd never worked an honest day in their lives. I felt underdressed in my worn pilot's jacket, but I kept my head high as I entered. A woman sat alone at a corner booth, her silver hair pulled back in a severe bun. She wore no corporate logos, but everything about her screamed money and power. Marcus Hale, she said, gesturing to the seat across from her. I'm Director Silk. I represent certain interests that have been monitoring your situation. Let me guess, I said, sliding into the booth. Novodyne. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Among others, we're aware you've inherited something of value, something that belongs in more capable hands. The ship is legally mine. Legal is such a flexible concept, she said, signaling the bartender. 2 drinks appeared moments later, glowing with an ethereal blue light. Do you know what your uncle was, Marcus? An explorer, a dreamer, a pain in the ass to authorities like you. A thief, she corrected. He stole something that didn't belong to him, something that cost lives to protect. The negative star map. Her composure cracked slightly. So you've accessed it. That's unfortunate. It means we'll have to be less gentle than I'd hoped. I felt Naira's presence nearby, a subtle shift in the air that only I would notice. Are you threatening me? I'm offering you a choice, Director Silk said, sliding a credit chip across the table. 10 million credits, enough to start over anywhere you want. All you have to do is walk away from the ship and forget you ever saw that map. And if I refuse, then in 10 days, when we come to destroy that vessel, you'll unfortunately be aboard it. Tragic accident. Former Academy washout dies in preventable disaster. The feeds will mourn you for exactly 1 news cycle. I picked up the credit chip, feeling its weight. 10 million credits. More money than I'd see in a lifetime. I could buy a new ship, start a real life, forget about Uncle Dex's cryptic legacy. But then, I thought about Naira, about her people who died for Novodyne's greed. I thought about Uncle Dex, who'd spent his life fighting against corporate tyranny in his own chaotic way. I slid the chip back across the table. No deal. Director Silk sighed. I was afraid you'd say that. You're just like your uncle. Too idealistic for your own good. She stood to leave, then paused. A word of advice. Marcus, that map doesn't just show routes. It shows destinations. Places that were hidden for good reasons. Some doors should remain closed. Maybe, I said, but that's my choice to make. She left without another word. I waited a full minute before leaving myself, taking a different route back to the docks. Naira materialized beside me in a maintenance corridor, her fur shifting from shadow black to concerned purple. 10 million credits, she said. That's a lot to turn down. Not enough to sell my soul, or yours. Her fur shifted to something I'd never seen before, a soft pearl color that seemed to glow from within. Thank you, she said quietly. We made it back to the Iron Fang to find Milo in a state of electronic agitation. We have a problem. Several problems. A fleet of problems. What now? I asked. Novodyne just updated the seizure order. They've moved the deadline to 3 days, and they've posted a bounty on you both. 50,000 credits. Dead or alive. They work fast, Naira observed. There's more. I've been analyzing the negative star map, and I found something. A route that leads to a place called Eclipsera. According to the data fragments, it was the Etherian homeworld. Naira went completely still, her fur color freezing mid-shift. That's impossible. Our homeworld was destroyed. I saw the footage. What if it wasn't? Milo suggested. What if Novodyne just wanted everyone to think it was? What if they've been hiding an entire planet? The implications were staggering. If Eclipsera still existed, if Naira's people were still alive somewhere. We need those parts, I said with renewed determination. Tonight's heist isn't just about saving the ship anymore. It's about finding the truth, Naira finished, her fur now burning with a fierce golden light. As midnight approached, we finalized our plan. It was dangerous, probably stupid, and definitely illegal. But as I looked at my strange little crew, I realized something. For the first time since being expelled from the academy, I felt like I belonged somewhere. The Iron Fang might be a rust bucket. Milo might be half insane. Naira might be the last of her kind. And I might be a washout with more enemies than friends. But together, we were about to take on the most powerful corporation in the galaxy. Garrison Holt and his friends could mock us all they wanted. In 3 days, if we survived, we'd be long gone, racing down the hidden roads toward mysteries that had been buried for decades. And if we were really lucky, we might just change the galaxy forever. The maintenance shaft was cramped, dark, and smelled like something had died in it years ago. I pressed myself against the grimy wall as footsteps echoed overhead. My heart hammering so loud, I was sure the guards would hear it. Dock 43 clear, a voice crackled through the comm above us. Cargo arrival in 15 minutes. Beside me, Nira was practically invisible, her fur matching the shadows perfectly. Only the faint gleam of her 4 eyes gave away her position. Remember, Milo's voice whispered through our earpieces. The quantum cores are in container B9. You'll have exactly 4 minutes while they're unloading the primary cargo. 4 minutes, I muttered. No pressure. We crawled forward through the shaft until we reached the access grate. Below, the dock was bustling with automated loaders preparing for the shipment. 2 guards stood near the main entrance, looking bored and checking their personal feeds. Guards are distracted, Naira observed, her voice barely a whisper. But there's a problem. I followed her gaze and cursed under my breath. Garrison Holt was there, along with 3 other Novodyne executives, apparently conducting some kind of inspection. What's he doing here? I hissed. Being a pain in our collective asses, Milo said. Abort. I watched Garrison strutting around like he owned the place, which he probably thought he did. His presence complicated things, but it also presented an opportunity. No, I decided. We use him, Nira. Can you create a distraction? Her fur rippled with what I'd learned was amusement. What kind of distraction? The kind that makes Garrison look like an idiot. That's not particularly challenging, she said, already moving toward another grate. The cargo ship arrived precisely on schedule, its massive bulk settling onto the dock with a pneumatic hiss. Containers began offloading immediately, the automated systems working with mechanical precision. I waited, muscles tensed until I heard the commotion. What the hell is that Garrison's voice carried across the dock? I peered through the grate to see Nira, but not as I knew her. She'd somehow made her fur strobe through rapid color changes, while performing what could only be described as an interpretive dance on top of a cargo container. The effect was hypnotic and absolutely ridiculous. "Someone get that thing!" Garrison shouted, his face red with embarrassment as several dock workers pulled out their recorders. "It's diseased or something." The guards abandoned their posts, joining the chase as Nira led them on a merry pursuit around the dock. She leaped from container to container with feline grace, always just out of reach, her fur creating a disorienting light show. Now, I whispered to myself, dropping through the grate. Container B9 was exactly where Milo said it would be. The lock was biometric, but Uncle Dex had taught me a few tricks. I pulled out a small device I'd cobbled together from spare parts and pressed it against the scanner. It cycled through false readings until it hit one that worked. Inside, 3 quantum cores sat in protective casings, each one worth more than I'd make in 10 lifetimes. I grabbed 2, leaving one behind. Greed would only slow me down. "Marcus," Milo's voice was urgent. "Naira's in trouble." I looked up to see that the guards had cornered her. Shock prods drawn. Garrison was approaching with a containment collar, the kind they used on dangerous animals. Without thinking, I grabbed a small maintenance tool from my belt and threw it at a pressure valve on a nearby container. The valve burst with a sharp whistle, releasing a cloud of coolant vapor that engulfed half the dock. In the confusion, Naira vanished. One moment she was surrounded. The next, she was gone, using the vapor as cover to escape. The guards spun in circles, shock prods hitting nothing but mist. "Where did it go?" Garrison screamed. "Find it!" I used the chaos to slip back into the maintenance shaft, the quantum cores secured in my pack. My heart didn't stop racing until we were 3 levels away, reconvening in an abandoned storage unit. Naira materialized from the shadows, her fur slowly shifting back to its normal deep purple. "That was exhilarating," she said, though I could see she was breathing hard. "That was insane," I corrected, but I was grinning. "Did you see Garrison's face?" "I've already saved the security footage," Milo chimed in through a nearby speaker. "For posterity." We made it back to the Iron Fang without further incident. The quantum cores integrated beautifully, bringing systems online that had been dead for decades. The ship actually hummed now, a deep thrumming that felt alive. "Interesting," Milo said as new displays flickered to life. "Very interesting." "What is it?" I asked. "These aren't just any quantum cores. They're prototypes, experimental models that Novodyne was developing for their deep space exploration program. Which means they can interface with the negative star map in ways standard cores couldn't. Watch this." The holographic map appeared again, but this time it was different. The routes were clearer, more defined, and there were labels now, in that flowing Etherian script. Naira gasped, moving closer to the display. "I can read this. These are navigation notes from my people. Instructions, warnings." She paused, her fur going pale. "And coordinates to safe harbors." "Safe harbors?" I asked. "Hidden stations, places where the Etherians stored supplies, knowledge, perhaps even—" She couldn't finish the sentence, but I understood. "Perhaps even survivors." "The race," I said, refocusing. "We still need more parts if we're going to win." "About that," Milo said. "I've been analyzing the competition. 15 ships entered, including the Crimson Wake." I winced. The Crimson Wake was legendary in illegal racing circuits. Its pilot, Rax Kellen, had never lost a race and had a reputation for playing dirty. "We can't outrun the Wake in a straight race," I said. "No," Milo agreed. "But we don't have to. The Asteroid Belt Rally isn't just about speed. It's about survival. And thanks to our new cores and the negative star map, we have an advantage. We can see routes others can't," Naira realized. "Exactly. The map doesn't just show interstellar paths. It shows local distortions too. Micro routes through the asteroid field that technically shouldn't exist." Over the next 2 days, we worked without rest. I rebuilt the navigation console while Naira fine-tuned the engines. Milo ran countless simulations, mapping out potential routes through the asteroid field. On the morning of the 3rd day, with Novodyne's deadline looming, we arrived at the rally point. The sight took my breath away. 15 ships hung in space before the asteroid field, each one a testament to illegal modification and barely controlled chaos. The Crimson Wake dominated the lineup, its blood-red hull covered in kill marks from defeated opponents. Look who it is. A familiar voice crackled over the open comm. Garrison Holt. Because of course he was here. The garbage scow actually showed up. His ship, the Silver Privilege, was exactly what you'd expect from a corporate brat, expensive, shiny, and piloted by someone else while he sat in the owner's suite. Ignore him, Naira advised, but her fur was flashing angry red. Racers, a mechanically distorted voice announced. The rules are simple. First through the asteroid field to the beacon on the far side wins. No weapons until you pass the first marker. After that, anything goes. Anything goes, I repeated. Wonderful. Marcus, Naira said quietly. Look at the wake. I enhanced the visual and felt my blood run cold. The Crimson Wake had new modifications. Novodyne modifications. This wasn't just a race anymore. They were here to stop us. 10 seconds to start, the announcer called. Milo, show me those micro-routes. The display lit up with thin golden threads weaving through the asteroid field. Paths that existed in dimensional folds, invisible to standard sensors. 5 seconds. Naira, I need you to navigate. Your eyes can see what instruments can't. Understood. Her fur shifted to that pearl color again, and she placed her paws on the Etherean navigation panel. 3, 2, 1, go. 15 ships burst forward simultaneously. The Silver Privilege took an early lead, its hired pilot executing a perfect launch. The Crimson Wake hung back, watching, waiting. We were dead last. Marcus, Garrison's mocking voice filled the comm. You're going the wrong way. He wasn't entirely wrong. While the other ships plunged straight into the asteroid field, I angled the Iron Fang toward what looked like certain death. A cluster of spinning rocks with no visible path through. Trust me, Naira said, her eyes glowing with an inner light. First micro-route in 3 seconds, Milo counted down. 2, 1, now. I pushed the throttle forward, aiming for what looked like solid rock. At the last second, space seemed to fold, and we slipped sideways through reality itself. The sensation was indescribable, like being turned inside out and put back together in a heartbeat. We emerged 50 kilometers ahead of where we should have been, past the first third of the field. What the hell? Someone shouted over the comm. They cheated, Garrison screamed. That's not possible. We hit the first marker, and immediately, weapons fire erupted behind us. The race had become a battle. Second route coming up, Naira said, her voice strained. This one's harder. The fold is unstable. Through the view screen, I could see the Crimson Wake gaining, its pilot having figured out something was different about our trajectory. Rax Kellen was following our path, using our wake to navigate. He's learning, I muttered. Let him, Milo said. I have an idea. Take the third route, but at the last second, don't enter it. That's suicide. We'll hit the asteroids. Trust me. I'd been saying that a lot lately. But as the third route approached, I held steady, watching the Crimson Wake close the distance. At the last possible moment, just as space began to fold, I killed the engines and pulled hard to starboard. The Iron Fang scraped against an asteroid, shields flaring, but we avoided the fold. The Crimson Wake, following too closely, shot straight into it. The wake emerged, but something was wrong. The ship was spinning, its pilot disoriented. The unstable fold had scrambled their navigation systems. How did you know? I asked Milo. The wake's new Novodyne systems. They're not calibrated for dimensional folding. The feedback would be catastrophic. We were in second place now, with only the Silver Privilege ahead. Garrison's hired pilot was good, very good, weaving through the asteroids with professional precision. We need one more edge, I said. Marcus, Naira said suddenly. There's something else. The map is showing a route that doesn't just fold space, it folds time. What? A temporal micro-route. We'd arrive at the beacon 30 seconds before we entered it. That's impossible. So was everything else we've done today. Behind us, the other racers were catching up, and the Crimson Wake had recovered, coming in fast and angry. Do it, I decided. Naira's fur went pure white, and she pressed both paws to the panel. The Iron Fang shuddered, and reality went completely insane. I saw ourselves from outside the ship. I saw the race from every angle simultaneously. I saw the beacon, and us reaching it, and us having already reached it. Then, with a snap that rattled my teeth, we were through. Victory to the Iron Fang, the announcer said, sounding confused. Though our instruments show, that can't be right. We won, I asked, dazed. We won, Milo confirmed, and we broke several laws of physics doing it. The Silver Privilege crossed the finish line 30 seconds later, followed by the Wake and the remaining ships. The comm channels exploded with accusations and demands for investigation. You cheated, Garrison's voice cut through the chaos. Nobody knows what you did, but you cheated. Prove it, I responded calmly. As per the rules, we had first pick of the salvage. We took what we needed: hull plating, weapon systems, a medical bay unit, and most importantly, a cloaking device from a defeated stealth racer. But as we loaded the parts, Rax Kellen approached in a small shuttle. I tensed, expecting trouble, but the legendary pilot simply wanted to talk. That wasn't normal piloting, Rax said, removing their helmet to reveal scarred features and knowing eyes. That was something else, something impossible. The galaxy's full of impossible things, I replied carefully. Rax studied me for a long moment. Novodyne paid me to stop you, paid me a fortune, but I don't think any amount of credits is worth getting involved in whatever you're mixed up in. Smart choice. A warning, though, they're not going to stop. Whatever you have, they want it badly. And Director Silk doesn't take no for an answer. Neither do I. Rax laughed, a harsh sound. I believe you. Good luck, kid. You're going to need it. As we prepared to leave, Garrison made one last attempt to cause trouble, filing an official complaint with the race commissioners, but without proof of cheating, and with several witnesses noting that his own ship had been armed with illegal Novodyne weapons. The complaint went nowhere. We returned to Station 9 with 1 day left before Novodyne's deadline. But now, the Iron Fang was no longer a rust bucket. It was a ship reborn, armed and armored, with systems that shouldn't exist and a map to places that couldn't be real. Where do we go? Naira asked as we stood on the bridge, looking at the negative star map with its infinite possibilities. First we disappear, I said. Then we find Eclipsera. We find your people. Her fur shifted through a rainbow of colors, emotions too complex for words. And if they're really gone, then we find out why Novodyne lied about it, and we make them pay. I've been analyzing the data from the temporal fold, Milo interrupted. It's not just the ship that was affected. You were too, both of you. What do you mean? I asked. I mean you've been exposed to dimensional energy that humans and Etherians weren't meant to experience. It's changed you on a cellular level. I'm not sure what the long-term effects will be, but Naira prompted. But you might be able to sense the hidden roads now. Without the map, the knowledge might be becoming part of you. I looked at Nira, and she looked at me. We were no longer just a failed pilot and the last of a dead race. We were something new, something Novodyne hadn't planned for. Tomorrow they come for us, I said. Tomorrow. We'll be gone, Naira replied, her fur settling into a confident gold. And the day after? The day after, we change everything. As the station lights dimmed for the night cycle, we worked on final preparations. The Iron Fang hummed with power, its secrets slowly revealing themselves. In the hidden compartments Milo had discovered, we found more than just technology. We found records, histories, and hints of a conspiracy that went deeper than corporate greed. The Etherians hadn't just been navigators. They'd been guardians, keeping the hidden roads secret from those who would abuse them. And now, by chance or fate, that responsibility had fallen to us. Milo, I said as I settled into the newly installed captain's chair. How much of this did my uncle know? More than he told anyone. Dexter Hale spent 20 years gathering pieces of this puzzle. The ship, the map, even ensuring you'd be here when it all came together. He planned this. He hoped for it. He believed that someone with nothing to lose and everything to prove would be the perfect person to inherit this legacy. I thought about that as I watched Naira studying the star charts, her fur shifting with each new discovery. Uncle Dex had given me more than a ship. He'd given me a purpose. Director Silk was right about one thing, I said. Some doors should remain closed. But Naira asked, looking up. But we're not the ones who get to decide that anymore. Novodyne kicked down those doors when they destroyed your people. Now, we're going to show them what was hiding behind them. The next morning would bring Novodyne's fleet, but it would also bring our escape into the impossible. And after that, the real adventure would begin. The proximity alarm screamed at exactly 6 in the morning. Station time. Through the view screen, I counted 12 Novodyne enforcement vessels dropping out of hyperspace, their sleek hulls bristling with weapons that could turn the Iron Fang into atoms. They brought a whole fleet, Naira observed, her fur shifting to a deep midnight blue. We must have really annoyed them. Attention, Iron Fang! Director Silk's voice filled our bridge, cold and professional. You have 60 seconds to power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. Any attempt to flee will result in immediate destruction. Milo, I said, strapping into the captain's chair. Please tell me you've figured out how to use those hidden roads. Figured out is a strong term. I have theories, hypotheses, educated guesses that might not result in our atoms being scattered across 17 dimensions. Good enough. I turned to Naira. Can you see a route out of here? She closed all 4 eyes, her paws glowing against the Etherian panel. When she opened them again, they were filled with swirling galaxies. There, she whispered, pointing at what looked like empty space. A fold that leads beyond their sensor range. But Marcus, it's unstable. The station's gravity well is distorting it. 30 seconds, Director Silk announced. Unstable, how, I asked? We might emerge exactly where we intend. Or we might emerge inside a star. Or we might emerge yesterday. Yesterday would actually be helpful right now. This isn't a joke, Milo interjected. The dimensional shear could tear the ship apart. As opposed to the dozen warships that definitely will tear us apart. Fair point. 15 seconds. I fired up the engines, feeling the Iron Fang vibrate with barely contained power. The quantum cores we'd stolen were already pushing beyond their specifications, bleeding exotic energy into space. They're charging weapons, Naira reported. Time's up, Director Silk said. Fire! I slammed the throttle forward, just as 12 ships opened fire simultaneously. The space where we'd been sitting erupted in a cascade of destructive energy that would have vaporized us instantly. But we were already moving, diving toward the fold that only Naira could see. The Iron Fang groaned, its newly installed hull plating straining against forces it was never designed to handle. Hold together, I muttered. Whether to the ship or myself, I wasn't sure. Reality twisted. The stars stretched into lines, then spirals, then something my brain couldn't process. I felt my thoughts scatter, experiencing the past and future simultaneously. I was 5 years old on Earth. I was 90 and dying. I was never born. I was eternal. Then, with a sensation like being shot out of a cannon made of light, we emerged. Silence. No alarms, no weapons fire, no Director Silk. Where are we? I asked, my voice hoarse. Approximately 800 light-years from Station 9, Milo reported, sounding surprised. We've jumped further than any ship without a hyperdrive gate should be able to go. The hidden roads don't follow normal physics, Naira said, but she was swaying on her feet. The jump had taken something out of her. Are you okay? She nodded, though her fur was flickering through colors randomly. The dimensional energy. It's like trying to hold lightning in your mind. But I can feel them now. Marcus. All the hidden roads. They're everywhere, connecting everything. Can Novodyne follow us? Not through that route, Milo said. Their ships are too large, too rigid. The fold would crush them. But they'll find us eventually. We need to keep moving. I pulled up the negative star map. Its impossible geometries, making more sense now that I'd experienced them firsthand. Show me Eclipsera. The map zoomed and rotated, revealing a route that made my head hurt to look at. It wasn't a straight line or even a curve. It was a path that existed in parallel dimensions, touching reality at specific points. It's a 3-day journey through normal space, Milo calculated. Or I prompted. Or 12 jumps through the hidden roads, which would take about 6 hours but might kill us. Let's compromise. We take the roads when we can, normal space when we need to recover. We began our journey toward the impossible. Each jump through the hidden roads revealed new wonders and terrors. We passed through a fold where time ran backward, watching stars unburn and planets unform. We skirted the edge of a dimension where mathematics worked differently, where 2 + 2 equaled purple. Between jumps, as we rested in normal space, Nira taught me to sense the roads without instruments. It was like learning to see a new color, to hear a new frequency. The human brain wasn't meant for it, but the dimensional energy was changing me, rewiring my perceptions. "You're becoming something new," she said during one rest period, her fur a thoughtful silver. Neither fully human nor Etherean, but something in between. "Is that why I can understand your color changes now?" I asked. "Before, I had to guess. Now I just know." She tilted her head, considering. "The roads connect more than just places. They connect minds, souls, possibilities. We're becoming entangled, you and I." Before I could respond to that, Milo interrupted. "We have company." On the sensors, a ship appeared, but not a Novodyne vessel. This was something older, more alien. It looked organic, like it had been grown rather than built. "That's impossible," Nira breathed, her fur going pure white with shock. "That's an Etherean sanctuary ship. They were all destroyed." The ship sent a single transmission, a series of musical notes that made Nira's fur ripple in response. "It's a recognition code," she whispered. "A call to return home." We followed the sanctuary ship through 3 more roads, each jump easier than the last as our bodies adapted to the dimensional stress. Finally, we emerged in a system that shouldn't exist. Eclipsera hung before us. But it was wrong. The planet was there, blue and green and beautiful, but it existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. I could see ghost versions of it, each slightly different, occupying the same space. "A dimensional pocket," Milo said, awe creeping into his artificial voice. They hid an entire planet in folded spacetime. The sanctuary ship led us to an orbital station that materialized out of nowhere as we approached. The docking was smooth, automated, as if the station recognized the Iron Fang despite never having seen it before. "Should we go aboard?" I asked. "We've come this far," Nira said, though I could feel her trembling. The station's atmosphere was breathable but strange, charged with an energy that made my skin tingle. We walked through corridors that seemed to shift when we weren't looking directly at them, following lights that guided us deeper into the structure. Finally, we entered a vast chamber where dozens of Ethereans waited. But they weren't like Nira. They were older, sadder, their fur patterns muted and gray. One stepped forward, larger than the others, with 6 eyes instead of 4. "Nira of the lost generation," it said, its voice harmonizing with itself. "We thought you were dead." "Elder Cray," Nira gasped, dropping into what looked like a bow. "You're alive. You're all alive." "Barely," Elder Cray said. "We are the remnant, 300 souls hidden away while our people burned. And you've brought a human here. One touched by the roads. Marcus saved me, Nira said. He refused Novadine's bribes, risked everything to bring me home. Elder Cray's 6 eyes focused on me, and I felt like I was being examined down to my atoms. You carry the resonance of Project Lazarus. Project Lazarus. I asked, what do you know about it? Everything, Elder Cray said sadly. We helped create it. The chamber fell silent. Even Nira's fur stopped shifting, frozen, in shocked orange. The Etherians were dying, Elder Cray continued. A genetic plague, engineered by parties unknown. Novadine offered a solution: combine our DNA with humans, create a hybrid species that could survive. We agreed, desperate to preserve something of our people. But they betrayed you, I said, pieces clicking into place. They took our genetic material and created weapons, soldiers who could navigate the roads, who could be controlled, who could conquer. When we tried to stop them, they destroyed our world, or so they thought. But some of you escaped. We folded Eclipsera into a dimensional pocket, but the energy required killed most of us. We've been hiding here ever since, waiting. Waiting for what? For someone like you. Elder Cray moved closer, and I could smell something like cinnamon and ozone. You're not just touched by Lazarus. You're a successful hybrid. Your dormant Etherian genes were activated by exposure to the roads. My legs felt weak. I'm part Etherian. Approximately 12%, genetically speaking. Enough to navigate the roads. Not enough to be controlled by Novadine's neural implants. There are others like me. Hundreds, scattered across human space, unaware of their nature. Novadine has been hunting them, either recruiting or eliminating them. We have to stop them, I said. With what army? Elder Cray asked. We are 300 dying refugees. You are 1 hybrid and 1 youngling. Novadine controls half the galaxy's resources. We have the Iron Fang, I said, and the negative star map, and knowledge of the roads that Novadine lacks. The ship, Elder Cray mused. Yes, we know of it. Your uncle, Dexter Hale, visited us years ago. He helped us hide, brought supplies, kept our secret. The Iron Fang was our gift to him, built with hybrid technology, designed to be piloted by someone like you. Uncle Dex knew about all of this. He was searching for you, Marcus, his nephew, hidden in plain sight. He knew what you were before you did. I thought about all the times Uncle Dex had visited, telling his wild stories, encouraging my dreams of being a pilot. He'd been preparing me. There's more, Elder Cray said. The negative star map doesn't just show the hidden roads. It shows the location of the Nexus. The Nexus. The point where all roads converge. A place outside normal spacetime where the fundamental laws of reality can be rewritten. It's what Novadine is really after. With control of the Nexus, they could reshape the galaxy to their will. Then we make sure they never find it, I said. Or, Nira said, her fur shifting to a determined gold. We find it first. Elder Cray's eyes widened. That's impossibly dangerous. The Nexus has defenses. Guardians left by the beings who created the roads. More dangerous than letting Novadine commit genocide again? Nira challenged. The Elder was quiet for a moment. Then, you'll need help. We can't fight. But we can upgrade your ship further. And there's someone you should meet. We were led to another chamber where a human woman waited. She looked to be in her 40s, with streaks of silver in her dark hair and eyes that held depths of experience. Marcus Hale, she said. I'm Dr. Sarah Brennan. I used to run Project Lazarus. I tensed, ready for a fight, but she held up her hands. I defected 15 years ago when I learned what Novadine was really doing. I've been helping the Etherians ever since, trying to undo the damage I caused. Why should we trust you? I asked. Because I can activate the rest of your hybrid abilities, and because I know Novadine's weakness. What weakness? Director Silk isn't human. She's a failed Lazarus hybrid, one of the early experiments. She's 90% Etherian, But the process drove her insane. She hates both species equally and wants to use the Nexus to create a new race under her control. That explains her interest in the map, Milo said through the ship's comm. She needs a successful hybrid to access the Nexus, Dr. Brennan continued. That's why she wanted to capture you, not kill you. You're the key she's been looking for. Then we stay away from her. Or we spring the trap, Neera suggested. Let her think she's won, then turn the tables. That's suicide, I said. That's strategy, she countered. We can't run forever. Eventually, we need to face them. Over the next 2 days, the Etherians worked on the Iron Fang, integrating technologies I couldn't even name. The ship became more than a vessel. It became almost alive, responding to thought as much as touch. Dr. Brennan worked on me, using a combination of gene therapy and dimensional energy to activate dormant sequences in my DNA. The process was agonizing, feeling like every cell in my body was being rewritten. When it was over, I could see the roads without trying. I could feel Neera's emotions as clearly as my own. And I could sense something else, a pull toward a specific point in space, like a compass pointing to the Nexus. You're ready, Dr. Brennan said. As ready as anyone can be for what's coming. We prepared to leave Eclipsera with a new mission. Not just to run or hide, but to find the Nexus before Novodyne, to secure it, and to use its power to free the galaxy from corporate tyranny. You don't have to come, I told Neera as we stood on the Iron Fang's bridge. Your people are here. You're home. Her fur shifted through a complex pattern. I now understood meant affection mixed with determination. My people are safe because they're hidden, but hiding isn't living. And besides, she moved closer. You're my people too now. We're connected. Remember. I felt the truth of that in my bones, in my hybrid cells, in the part of me that could touch the impossible. The moment we leave, Novodyne will detect us, Milo warned. They've probably spread sensor nets across half the galaxy by now. Let them come, I said, feeling the Iron Fang's eagerness through our neural link. We're not the same people who ran from Station 9. We're not even the same species anymore. What are we then? Neera asked. We're the future, I said. The fusion Novodyne wanted to control but could never understand. And we're about to show them what happens when you try to chain the infinite. As we prepared to undock, Elder Cray transmitted a final message. The Nexus will test you. It will offer you everything you want and demand everything you are. Many have sought it. None have returned unchanged. Good, I replied. Change is exactly what the galaxy needs. We launched from Eclipsera, diving immediately into a hidden road. Behind us, the planet folded back into its dimensional pocket, invisible and safe. Ahead lay the path to the Nexus, to a confrontation with Director Silk, and to a reckoning that would determine the fate of multiple species. The Iron Fang sang as we traveled, its hybrid systems harmonizing with the dimensional energy. We were no longer just pilot and navigator and AI. We were something new, something unprecedented. And we were going to war. The hidden road spat us out into normal space with such violence that the Iron Fang's hull groaned in protest. Warning lights flashed across the bridge as we materialized directly in the middle of a Novodyne ambush. 30 ships, Milo reported with artificial calm. They were waiting for us. Through the view screen, I could see Director Silk's flagship, a massive dreadnought that dwarfed everything around it. Its hull was covered in organic-looking protrusions that pulsed with unnatural light. Marcus Hale, Director Silk's voice, filled our bridge. But it was different now, layered with harmonics that no human throat could produce. Did you really think you could hide from me? I can smell the Etherian stench on you from here. Takes one to know one, I shot back, buying time while I searched for an escape route. The dimensional energy inside me was screaming warnings about the space around us. They'd done something to prevent us from accessing the hidden roads. Dimensional anchors, Neera whispered, her fur flickering between fear and rage. They're using corrupted Etherian technology to lock down local space. Clever, isn't it? Silk continued. Your people's own tools, turned against them. Surrender now, and I might let your pet cat live. Naira's fur flashed brilliant red. Pet, I'll show her, Pet. She placed all 4 paws on the navigation panel, and something extraordinary happened. The Iron Fang's hybrid systems responded not just to her touch, but to her anger. The ship's consciousness, that strange, almost alive quality it had developed, merged with her emotional state. Naira, what are you doing? Something stupid, she admitted, her eyes beginning to glow with that inner light. Milo, can you handle a complete neural merge? That would effectively make me part biological, the AI said. It's never been tested. First time for everything. Before I could stop her, Naira initiated a 3-way link between herself, Milo, and the Iron Fang's core systems. The effect was immediate and terrifying. The ship didn't just come alive, it became alive. What the hell? Someone on the Novodyne Fleet channel exclaimed. Our hull began to shift and flow, like liquid metal. Weapons ports opened where none had existed before. The Iron Fang was transforming, becoming something between machine and organism. Fire everything, Silk commanded. 30 ships opened fire simultaneously, but the Iron Fang moved like nothing they'd ever seen. We didn't just dodge. We flowed around their attacks, our hull rippling to deflect energy beams and absorb kinetic impacts. My turn, Nira Milo Fang said in unified voice that reverberated through the ship. Our weapons fired, but not conventional blasts. Instead, we shot concentrated bursts of dimensional energy that passed through shields like they weren't there. 3 Novodyne ships simply ceased to exist, folded into pocket dimensions and crushed. Impossible, Silk snarled. You're just a failed experiment and a mongrel pet. Wrong, I said, feeling the connection between us all. We're evolution. I reached out with my hybrid senses, feeling for weaknesses in their dimensional anchors. There, a flaw in the pattern. They'd tried to recreate Etherian technology without understanding its harmony. I pushed against it with my mind, and one of the anchors shattered. Marcus, I can see a road, Naira reported, but it's unstable. The remaining anchors are distorting it. Then we make our own stability. I dove deep into the Iron Fang's merged consciousness, adding my hybrid nature to the mix. For a moment, I experienced true unity. I was Marcus and Nira and Milo and the ship itself. We were one being with multiple perspectives, thinking and moving in perfect synchronization. Together, we punched through reality itself. The transition was different this time. Instead of being pulled through the hidden roads, we created our own path, forcing a tunnel through dimensions. Novodyne ships tried to follow, but without our unique fusion, they were torn apart by dimensional shear. We emerged near a stellar graveyard, a system where ancient stars had died and left behind impossible geometries. And there, floating in the center of the cosmic cemetery, was the Nexus. It wasn't what I expected. Instead of a station or structure, it was a sphere of pure possibility, constantly shifting between states of existence. One moment it was solid, the next gaseous, then crystalline, then something my mind couldn't process. The source of all hidden roads, Milo said, his voice filled with wonder. It's beautiful. It's dangerous, Naira added, her fur cycling through colors I'd never seen before. I can feel it pulling at us, trying to unmake and remake us. As we approached, the Nexus responded. Tendrils of light reached out, scanning us, judging us. When they touched the Iron Fang, I heard voices in my head. Not words, but pure meaning, ancient and vast. Why do you seek the heart of paths, they asked. To stop those who would abuse it, I answered. Many have said the same. All have failed the test. What test? Instead of answering, The Nexus pulled us in. The Iron Fang passed through its surface like diving into liquid light. Inside was a space that defied description. We were everywhere and nowhere, existing in all time simultaneously. I saw the birth of the hidden roads, created by beings of pure thought who transcended physical reality. I saw civilizations rise and fall, using the roads for exploration, trade, war. I saw the Etherians discover the paths and take on the role of guardians. And I saw Novodyne's future if they gained control, a galaxy reshaped into a corporate dystopia where free will itself was a commodity. Choose, the voices said. Take the power for yourself, or destroy it forever. It would be so easy. With the Nexus's power, I could reshape reality. I could bring back the dead Etherians, destroy Novodyne, make myself emperor of a perfect galaxy. The temptation was overwhelming. Marcus, Nira's voice cut through the visions. Remember who you are. I felt her presence, warm and real against the infinite possibility. She was right. I wasn't a god, and I didn't want to be. I was Marcus Hale, failed pilot, successful hybrid, and friend to the last free Etherian. Neither, I said to the Nexus. I choose neither. The power should exist, but it shouldn't belong to anyone. It should be free, like the roads themselves. The Nexus pulsed, considering. Then, surprisingly, it laughed. The sound was like stars being born. The first to refuse in 10,000 years, it said. You understand. Power corrupted is worse than no power at all. You pass. The visions faded, and we were back in normal space. The Iron Fang floating before the Nexus. But something had changed. I could feel it in my bones, in my hybrid cells. The Nexus had marked us as guardians, like the Etherians before us. Folks, Milo interrupted. We have a problem. Director Silk's dreadnought emerged from a hidden road. But it was wrong. The ship was partially fused with dimensional energy, twisted into something monstrous. Silk had forced her way through without proper harmonization, and it had driven her beyond madness. You think you've won? Her voice boomed, no longer recognizable as anything humanoid. I am evolution. I am the future. Her ship fired, but not weapons. It shot tendrils of corrupted dimensional energy that began rewriting space around them. Asteroids became geometric impossibilities. Empty void crystallized into fractured glass. She's destabilizing local reality, Nira said. If this spreads, it could unravel the entire sector, Milo finished. The Nexus pulsed behind us, and I understood. This was the real test. Not whether we could resist power, but whether we could stop those who couldn't. Together, I asked Nira. Always, she replied. Her fur settling into that pearl color I'd come to associate with trust. We merged again, but deeper this time. Marcus, Nira, Milo, and the Iron Fang became a single entity with the Nexus's blessing. We were the guardian at the gate, the sword against chaos. Silk's corrupted dreadnought lunged at us, its twisted form defying physics. We met it head-on, not with weapons, but with harmony. Where she brought chaos, we brought order. Where she forced reality to break, we helped it heal. The battle wasn't fought with lasers and missiles, but with concepts and possibilities. We danced through dimensions, each move countering Silk's madness with measured response. She tried to unmake us, and we simply refused to be unmade. You can't win, Silk screamed. I have the power of the Etherians. No, Nira's voice said through our merged consciousness. You have their genetics, but you never had their soul. We reached out with tendrils of pure dimensional energy, not to destroy, but to contain. We wrapped Silk's madness in layers of stable reality, creating a prison of normalized space that her corrupted power couldn't break. This isn't over, Silk snarled as her dreadnought was pulled into a stabilized pocket dimension. Novodyne will never stop hunting you. Then we'll stop Novodyne, I replied. With a final pulse of energy, we sealed the pocket dimension. Silk and her corrupted ship were contained, locked away where they could no longer threaten reality itself. As we separated back into our individual selves, exhaustion hit like a meteor. But we'd done it. We'd stopped Silk and gained the Nexus's blessing. Now what? Milo asked. Before I could answer, space around us filled with ships. But not Novodyne vessels. These were different modified freighters, patched-up fighters, civilian craft armed with salvaged weapons. At their head was a familiar ship, the Crimson Wake. "Rax Kellen to Iron Fang," the veteran pilot's voice crackled over comms. "Heard you might need some backup." "How did you find us?" I asked. "We didn't. They did." Rax gestured to another group of ships emerging from hidden roads, Etherian sanctuary vessels, dozens of them, carrying the survivors from Eclipsera. Elder Kray's voice joined the channel. "The Nexus called to us. It says you are the new Guardians. We've come to stand with you." More ships appeared. Independents who'd suffered under Novodyne's monopoly. Former Academy students who'd been expelled for questioning authority. Even a few Novodyne deserters who'd grown sick of corporate tyranny. "This is impossible," I said. "How did you all coordinate?" "That would be me," a new voice said. Garrison Holt's silver privilege dropped out of hyperspace, but its weapons were powered down. Turns out, being mocked by a cat and a dropout was the best thing that ever happened to me. "Garrison," I couldn't hide my shock. "My family built Novodyne," he said, and I could hear the shame in his voice. "I grew up believing we were bringing order to the galaxy. But then I saw what Director Silk really was. What we'd really been doing. The genocide. The experiments. The plan to control reality itself. I couldn't be part of it anymore." "So you gathered a fleet?" "I gathered witnesses. Every ship here has recording equipment. We're about to broadcast the truth about Novodyne to every inhabited system simultaneously. The evidence of their crimes. Their plans. Everything. They'll come for us," I warned. "All of us." "Let them come," Rax Kellen said. "We're done running, done hiding, done letting corporations decide our fate." The Nexus pulsed behind us, and I felt its approval. This was what it had been waiting for. Not a single Guardian, but a coalition. Not one species controlling the roads, but all species sharing them. "Milo," I said, "open a channel to every Novodyne frequency." "Done." "This is Marcus Hale aboard the Iron Fang. Director Silk is defeated and contained. The Nexus is under protection of a multi-species alliance. Any Novodyne vessel that approaches will be considered hostile. But to Novodyne employees who were just following orders, who didn't know the truth, you have a choice. Desert now with amnesty, or face justice for war crimes when the truth comes out." Almost immediately, several Novodyne ships began breaking formation, their crews choosing freedom over loyalty to a corrupt corporation. "And to the Novodyne Board of Directors," I continued, "your monopoly is over. The hidden roads will be open to all. The galaxy will be free. You can accept this new reality, or you can fight it and lose everything." The response came quickly, not from the board, but from thousands of smaller corporations, independent traders, and frontier colonies. They'd been listening, waiting for someone to stand up to Novodyne. Now they had their catalyst. Within hours, Novodyne stock crashed. Within days, investigations were launched on 100 worlds. Within a week, the corporate empire that had terrorized the galaxy for decades began to crumble. But we weren't done. With the Nexus's power and the Etherians' knowledge, we began teaching others to navigate the hidden roads safely. The Iron Fang became a training vessel, with Naira as head instructor and me as her surprisingly competent assistant. Milo, still partially merged with the ship's consciousness, became something unprecedented, an AI with intuition, able to feel the roads rather than just calculate them. He became the template for a new generation of ship minds, partners rather than tools. Dr. Sarah Brennan worked with Elder Cray to find and activate other human-Etherian hybrids, giving them the choice to embrace their nature or remain as they were. Most chose to embrace it. We were building a bridge between species, healing wounds that had festered for generations. Garrison surprised everyone by becoming our chief diplomat, using his knowledge of corporate structure to help dismantle Novodyne's monopolies and establish fair trade agreements. His transformation from spoiled brat to genuine leader was remarkable. 3 months after the battle at the Nexus, we held the first galactic assembly on neutral ground. Humans, Etherians, and a dozen other species came together to establish new laws for the hidden roads. No single entity would control them. No one would be excluded from them. They would be what they were always meant to be, paths of connection, not domination. "You did it," Naira said as we watched the assembly from the Iron Fang's bridge. Her fur was that pearl color again, and I could feel her contentment through our permanent connection. "We did it," I corrected. "All of us. Together." "So what now? We're guardians of the Nexus, teachers of the roads. What's next?" I pulled up the negative star map, but it had changed. Instead of showing just our galaxy, it now showed paths to other galaxies, other dimensions, other possibilities. "Uncle Dex always said the Iron Fang would change everything," I said. "But I don't think even he imagined this." "A universe of possibilities," Milo added. "Infinite paths to explore. New civilizations to meet," Nira continued, her eyes bright with excitement. "And probably new threats to face," I added, thinking of what might exist in those distant places. "Together?" Nira asked. "Together," I confirmed, as we prepared for our first journey beyond our galaxy. I thought about how this all started. A rusty ship everyone mocked, an alien cat everyone dismissed, a failed pilot everyone had written off. And now, we were the guardians of infinity itself. Garrison had sent a message earlier, a video from that first day at the dock, him and his friends mocking us, calling us garbage. He'd attached a note. "Thank you for proving us wrong. Thank you for saving us from ourselves." I'd replied with just 2 words, "You're welcome." The Iron Fang hummed with anticipation as we approached the first intergalactic hidden road. This one didn't just fold space, it folded reality itself, leading to a place where the laws of physics were suggestions rather than rules. "Ready?" I asked my crew, my family, my partners in the impossible. "Ready," they replied in unison. We dove into the unknown, carrying with us the hopes of a freed galaxy and the responsibility of the Nexus. We were no longer the mocked and the dismissed. We were the bridges between worlds, the guardians of possibility, the teachers of harmony. And our real adventure was just beginning. The hidden road to another galaxy opened before us like a flower of light. As we entered it, I felt the Nexus's final gift, knowledge that we weren't the first guardians to make this journey, and we wouldn't be the last. The universe was vast, full of wonders and terrors, and it needed those willing to stand between order and chaos. "Milo, log this," I said as reality began to shift around us. "The Iron Fang, departure from Milky Way galaxy, stardate, whatever stardate it is. Mission to explore strange new roads, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no human-Etherian hybrid partnership has gone before." "Really?" Naira said, her fur flashing amused orange. "You're quoting ancient Earth entertainment." "If the quote fits," I grinned. As our galaxy fell away behind us, and an entirely new reality opened ahead, I couldn't help but laugh. We'd gone from being mocked in a station dock to being the guardians of interdimensional travel. Not bad for a washout, a cat, and a sarcastic AI. The Iron Fang sang as we traveled, its living metal hull adapting to dimensional energies no normal ship could survive. Through the view screen, I could see the first hints of our destination, a galaxy where stars were crystalline and planets sang in harmony. "Whatever happens next," I said, At least it won't be boring. With us, Naira replied, her tail swishing with anticipation. Never. Behind us, our galaxy continued its transformation. The hidden roads were open. Novadine's tyranny was broken, and species that had been enemies were becoming allies. We'd planted the seeds of change, and now we were off to plant them elsewhere. The Iron Fang accelerated into the infinite, carrying its unlikely crew toward adventures we couldn't imagine. We were explorers, guardians, teachers, and friends. We were the future that Director Silk had feared: cooperation instead of domination, harmony instead of control. And somewhere in the vast network of hidden roads, other beings waited to be discovered, other tyrants waited to be stopped, and other possibilities waited to be explored. Our story in our home galaxy was ending, but our story in the universe was just beginning. The Nexus had chosen its guardians well, not perfect beings, but flawed ones who'd learned to transcend their limitations through unity. As we emerged from the intergalactic road into that crystal galaxy, we were greeted by songs of welcome from beings of living light. They'd been waiting for new guardians to arrive, waiting to share their own knowledge of the roads. Welcome, harmony singers. They called to us in frequencies that bypassed sound and spoke directly to consciousness. We have much to share. And so we began again learning, teaching, growing. The Iron Fang had become more than a ship. It was a symbol of possibility, proof that the discarded and mocked could become the essential and celebrated. Our legacy would ripple through dimensions, inspiring others to stand up, to unite, to explore. We'd shown that power wasn't about control, but about connection, that strength came not from domination, but from diversity. The universe was vast, but it no longer seemed empty. It was full of paths waiting to be discovered, friends waiting to be made, and adventures waiting to be had. And at the center of it all was a rusted ship that refused to be junk, an alien cat who refused to be a pet, and a failed pilot who refused to give up. Together, we were unstoppable. Together, we were infinite. The crystal being's song changed pitch, and suddenly I understood they weren't just welcoming us. They were warning us. Harmony singers, you arrive at a crucial moment. Their collective voice resonated through the Iron Fang's hull. The Devourers have found this galaxy. They consume the roads themselves. Devourers? Naira asked, her fur shifting to a concerned violet. An image formed in our minds, massive entities of pure entropy, moving through hidden roads like cancer through veins, leaving nothing but collapsed space in their wake. Wherever they passed, the roads died, cutting off entire sectors from the network. They appeared 3 cycles ago, the crystal beings explained. We've lost 12 systems already. The roads there are gone forever. How do we stop them? I asked. Unknown. We only know they hunger for dimensional energy. The more complex the road, the more they crave it. I felt a chill. The intergalactic road we'd just traveled was one of the most complex I'd ever seen. If the Devourers followed it back, they could reach our galaxy, Milo said, voicing my fear. And with all the new traffic on the roads, all the beings just learning to navigate, it would be a feast, Naira finished grimly. The crystal beings pulsed with harmonics of agreement. This is why we waited for guardians. The Nexus chose you for a reason. Perhaps you can find what we cannot, a way to stop them. Before we could respond, space around us fractured. Not the clean fold of a hidden road opening, but a violent tear, like reality itself was being chewed apart. Through the rift came something that hurt to perceive. The Devourer wasn't solid or energy or anything in between. It was absence itself, a moving void that deleted existence. Shields, I shouted, but conventional shields meant nothing to this thing. The Devourer touched the nearest crystal ship, and the vessel didn't explode or break. It simply ceased, erased from reality, as if it had never been. The crystal being's song became a shriek of loss. We need to move, Naira said, her paws flying over the navigation panel. But as she reached for a hidden road, the devourer shifted, blocking our escape. It had intelligence, or at least instinct. It knew we were different, more complex than the crystal beings. We were a delicacy. Milo, can we fight it? With what it's not matter or energy. It's anti-existence. We can't shoot nothing. The devourer reached for us, and I felt the Iron Fang's living hull recoil in terror. But then, something unexpected happened. The dimensional energy inside me, the hybrid power that let me see the roads, reacted violently to the devourer's presence. It was like opposing magnets, repelling each other. Wait, I said, an idea forming. It feeds on dimensional energy. But what if we gave it the wrong kind? Explain fast, Milo urged as the devourer closed in. The roads exist because of harmony, balance. What if we fed it chaos instead? Corrupted dimensional energy, like what Director Silk used? That could work, Nira said, understanding immediately. Or it could make it stronger. Only one way to find out. I reached deep into my hybrid nature, remembering the feeling of Silk's corrupted power. Instead of harmonizing with the roads, I deliberately created discord. It was like playing every note on an instrument at once, creating not music, but noise. The effect was immediate. The devourer recoiled, its void form rippling with what might have been confusion or pain. The corrupted energy was like poison to it, antithetical to its nature. It's working, Milo exclaimed. But Marcus, generating that much chaos, it's damaging you. He was right. I could feel my cells screaming, my hybrid nature fighting against what I was forcing it to do. But the devourer was retreating, sliding back through its tear in reality. I can't keep this up, I gasped, tasting copper in my mouth. You don't have to, Nira said. She placed her paws on my shoulders, and I felt her presence merge with mine. We do this together. She took half the burden, her Etherian nature naturally more capable of handling dimensional chaos. The strain eased, but I could see her fur flickering through painful colors. The crystal beings added their voices, not creating chaos but containing it, focusing our discordant energy into a weapon. The devourer writhed, caught between its hunger and its revulsion. Then, just as suddenly as it had appeared, it fled, diving back through its rift and sealing it behind itself. We collapsed, exhausted. The crystal being's song was mournful but grateful. You found a weapon, they said, but at great cost to yourselves. I could feel it. The chaos we generated had left marks, microscopic fractures in our hybrid nature. We'd survived, but we were changed. There must be a better way, I said, spitting blood. Perhaps. The crystal beings harmonized. But first, we must warn your galaxy. The devourers know of the intergalactic road now. They will follow. We raced back through the road, pushing the Iron Fang beyond its limits. The journey that had taken hours now took minutes, reality blurring as we exceeded safe speeds. When we emerged in our home galaxy, alarms were already sounding. Marcus, Garrison's voice crackled over comms. Thank God you're back. We've got problems. On the screens, I could see tears appearing throughout the galaxy. Not hidden roads, but wounds where devourers were trying to break through. Our passage had indeed attracted their attention. How many? I asked. Dozens, maybe hundreds. They're appearing wherever road traffic is heaviest. The newly freed galaxy, with thousands of ships just learning to navigate the roads, was a buffet for the devourers. We'd freed everyone from Novadine's tyranny, only to deliver them to something worse. We need to evacuate the roads, I said. Everyone out, now. That would destroy the new economy, Garrison protested. Everything we've built depends on road travel. Better than being erased from existence. As we argued, Elder Kray's ship appeared beside us. There is another way, the old Etherian said. But it requires sacrifice. What kind of sacrifice? The devourers are drawn to complexity, to the intersection of many roads. What if we gave them a single target, a feast so tempting they couldn't resist? I understood immediately. The Nexus. No, Naira said, her fur flashing angry red. The Nexus is the heart of everything. Without it, the roads will eventually decay. Not if we're smart about it, Milo interjected. We don't sacrifice the Nexus. We use it as bait. Over the next hours, we developed a desperate plan. The Nexus, being the convergence of all roads, was the ultimate attraction for devourers. If we could lure them all there, and then trap them. It's insane, Rax Kellen said over comms. You're talking about weaponizing the Nexus itself. The Nexus already tested us, I reminded them. It found us worthy. Maybe it will help us. Or maybe it will judge us unworthy for trying to use it as a weapon, Garrison countered. But we were out of options. The tiers were widening. Crystal beings had arrived from their galaxy, with reports of more devourers massing. This wasn't just an attack. It was an invasion. We gathered every ship we could at the Nexus. Etherian vessels, human freighters, even some rebuilt Novodyne cruisers crewed by defectors. Everyone who could fight, or at least witness what might be our last stand. Remember, I addressed the fleet, we're not trying to destroy them. We're trying to contain them. Create a prison of corrupted dimensional energy that they can't escape but can't consume. And if it doesn't work, someone asked, then we die protecting the roads. Not a bad way to go. Naira nuzzled against me, her fur that pearl color of trust. Whatever happens, I'm glad we're together. Me too, I said, feeling our permanent connection pulse with warmth. We began the lure. Every ship generated a pulse of dimensional energy, creating a beacon that screamed across the hidden roads. Come and feast, it said. The greatest meal you'll ever have. They came. First dozens, then hundreds. Devourers poured through tiers in reality, converging on the Nexus like moths to a flame. The sphere of possibility pulsed, aware of the threat, but not retreating. Now, I commanded. Every ship began generating corrupted energy, not as a weapon, but as a cage. We wove discord around harmony, chaos around order, creating a paradox that the devourers couldn't escape. They were trapped between their hunger for the Nexus and their revulsion at our corrupted barrier. But it wasn't enough. The strain was killing us. I could see ships flickering out, their crews overwhelmed by the effort of generating so much chaos. We were failing. Then the Nexus spoke. Not in words, but in pure understanding. It had been testing us all along, not just for worthiness, but for this moment. It had known the devourers would come, had been preparing for eons. Release control, it said. Trust in harmony. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done. But I let go. I stopped trying to generate chaos and instead opened myself completely to the Nexus's will. Nira did the same. Then Milo. Then every being in our fleet. The Nexus exploded with light. But not destructive light. It was creative, generative, the light of possibility itself. It touched each devourer and gave them what they'd never had existence. The void being solidified, gaining form for the first time in their eternal hunger. And with form came satiation. They no longer needed to devour because they were complete. Impossible, Elder Cray whispered. But I understood. The devourers weren't evil. They were incomplete. Shadows cast by the creation of the hidden roads. The negative space left behind when possibility was given form. The Nexus hadn't destroyed them. It had healed them. The newly corporeal beings floated in space, confused but no longer hungry. They had shapes now, beautiful in their strangeness, like living sculptures of dark glass. One approached the Iron Fang, and I felt its mind touch mine. Where before, there had been only hunger. Now there was curiosity. We are, it asked, the concept of self entirely new. You are, I confirmed. You exist. You're real. Real, it repeated, tasting the word. Thank you. Help us protect the roads, Nira said suddenly. You know them better than anyone. You've traveled them all. The being considered this. Protect, yes. We know the broken places, the weak points. We can help. And so our greatest threat became our strangest ally. The Devourers, now calling themselves the Wardens, took on the role of maintaining the hidden roads. Their unique nature allowed them to repair damage that no one else could even perceive. The universe has a sense of humor, Milo observed as we watched Wardens and crystal beings working together to stabilize a damaged road. 6 months later, I stood before the Galactic Assembly, delivering my report. The crisis was over, but the work had just begun. The hidden roads were more complex than we'd ever imagined, connecting not just places, but possibilities. Not just galaxies, but entire planes of existence. The Academy is fully operational, I announced. 300 students from 40 different species, all learning to navigate and protect the roads. From the audience, Garrison gave me a thumbs up. He'd become the Academy's chief administrator, using his organizational skills for something worthwhile. Who would have thought the spoiled corporate brat would become one of our most valuable allies? The Wardens have identified 17 other potential threats, I continued. Not invasions, but natural phenomena that could damage the road network. We're developing response protocols for each. Elder Cray stood, his aged form commanding respect. And what of the greater mystery, the beings who created the roads? Still unknown, I admitted. But we've found hints. Messages encoded in the deepest roads. Suggestions that they moved beyond physical existence entirely. They might still be out there, watching, waiting for us to be ready to meet them. And the Iron Fang, someone asked. What becomes of the ship that started all this? I smiled. She's being upgraded again. The merger with Milo has evolved into something unprecedented. The ship is now partially biological, capable of self-repair and growth. It's become the prototype for a new class of vessels, living ships that can navigate any road, no matter how complex. After the assembly, I found Nira on the observation deck, watching students practice road navigation in specially modified shuttles. Her fur was content gold, but I could sense something else through our connection. What is it? I asked. I'm pregnant, she said simply. I stared at her. But how we're different species. Not anymore, she said, turning to face me. The dimensional energy, the hybrid changes, the merger with the ship. We've become something new. The medical scans confirm it. The child is viable. A child, I repeated, stunned. Our child. The first of a new kind of being, she confirmed. Neither human, nor Etherian, nor hybrid, but something beyond all categories. I pulled her close, feeling her purr vibrate through both of us. Uncle Dex said the Iron Fang would change everything. I don't think even he imagined this. Scared? She asked. Terrified, I admitted, but also excited. We're writing the future now, creating possibilities that never existed before. Together, she said. Always together. A year later, I stood in the Iron Fang's medical bay, holding our daughter for the first time. She had my eyes, but 4 of them, Naira's grace, but human hands. And when she laughed, it was in harmonics no human or Etherian throat could produce. What do we name her? Naira asked, exhausted but radiant. Hope, I said, because that's what she represents. Dr. Sarah Brennan, who delivered her, ran another scan. She's perfectly healthy. And Marcus, her dimensional resonance is off the charts. She'll be able to see roads we can't even imagine. A new generation for a new age, Elder Cray said from the doorway. He'd insisted on being present for the historic birth, as if responding to his words. Baby Hope opened her eyes and looked directly at the hidden roads, visible through the view screen. Her tiny hand reached out, and for a moment, just a moment, I swear she touched one, bending it slightly with infant curiosity. "She's going to be trouble," Milo said, his voice warm with electronic affection. "The best kind of trouble," I agreed. The door chimed, and Garrison entered with Rax Kellen and several other Academy instructors. They'd come to witness history, the first child born of the union between species, made possible by the hidden roads themselves. "She's beautiful," Garrison said. And I could see he meant it. The arrogant boy from the docks was completely gone, replaced by a man who'd found purpose in service. "The students have a gift," Rax announced, producing a small model of the Iron Fang, crafted from metal that shimmed with dimensional energy. They all contributed, wanting to honor the ship that started their journey. I took the model, touched by the gesture. Through the windows, I could see those students, beings from across the galaxy, learning to work together, to navigate the impossible, to protect what we'd all built. "Thank you," I said, meaning it for more than just the gift. As we stood there, our strange family of choice and chance, I reflected on the journey. From a mocked pilot with a rust bucket ship to guardian of the Nexus, father to an impossible child, teacher to a new generation. The hidden roads had given us more than just faster travel. They'd given us connection, understanding, the ability to transcend our limitations and become something greater. "What's next?" Garrison asked, because there was always something next. I looked at Hope, then at Naira, then at the endless expanse of hidden roads stretching into infinity. "We keep exploring," I said. "We keep learning, we keep growing, and we make sure that the roads remain free for everyone." "Even with all the dangers?" Rax asked. "Especially with all the dangers. That's what Guardians do. We stand between the known and unknown, helping others cross safely." Hope gurgled, and for a moment her form flickered, existing in multiple dimensions simultaneously, before solidifying again. Our daughter would grow up in a universe where impossible was just another word for opportunity. The Iron Fang hummed around us, alive and aware, ready for whatever came next. And somewhere out there, beyond the edges of known space, new mysteries waited to be discovered, new allies to be made, new threats to be faced. But we were ready. We had each other. We had the roads. And we had hope. The future was infinite, and it was ours to explore.